Welcome to Kanchanaburi, a place known to people for its World War II memories and many great temples. What I see, however, is a lost valley, encircled by huge cavernous mountains and evergreen forests. My kind of place to explore, at night especially, to try and find the infamous Kanburian pit viper. Our first stop during the day is a boat ride down the Great Khao Yai River. Bit of backstory. Me and my best friend had been to a cave set in the middle of this river before, a couple years ago, with incredibly odd creatures. Sadly, we had forgotten the exact location and could never return to it. Yet, it's always been on my mind. I've been searching for years to find it again. So, of course, once I had the spot, we set off immediately. The cave's mouth laid upon a mountain top. It wasn't an easy trek up, but the contents inside were well worth it. Once we made our way in, we were greeted by the chittering of bats and their delightful droppings everywhere. Ammonia was through the roof. Sup guys? I have to be quiet for this video because there's bats in this cave. We don't want to wake them up, but I've managed to catch something so big and so intimidating to a lot of people in the world. Shit. What? Get a load of this giant monster. Normally, to begin with, this is what you call a tailless whip scorpion or an amblypygid species. I'm not sure what this one is, but it might be the biggest in the world. I've never seen one this big. Normally I call them gentle giants because I keep the Tanzanian species and I kept other smaller species before. And they don't hurt, they can pinch, they cannot sting. But this one has pinched me. And get a close-up of those fangs, they're massive. And when I caught this individual, he raised those fangs up like a tarantula would, in a defensive manner. That is the coolest tailless whip scorpion I've ever seen. Who knows what this thing is eating in here, but probably cave crickets, there's a ton of them. Wow. Super cool find. Right here in Kanchanaburi. What a monster she is, sorry guys. I had to film this. This is something super cool and I love these animals. And of course, if you don't mess with them, they're not gonna mess with you. See? She's pretty well rested on me. Wow, look how long those arms are. Now when she hunts, she uses these forearms to snap in prey. And these are actually legs, but they're called feelers. So in this really dark cave, they don't really use those eyes. That's why they're tiny and beady. They use these antennae to sense around the cave surfaces, finding what they can eat, what's small enough for them to attack. They'll use those large mandibles to just pump in digestive juices and suck the cricket up like Slurpee. All right. Oh, marvelous creature. I think I'm gonna release her now. See what I mean by harmless? Terrifying appearance to many, but she's not going to do anything. Definitely more bark than bite. Beautiful animal. As night fell, we began our trek in search of the elusive Kanburian pit viper, a species only native to a few spots in this province and nowhere else. A 5-hour hike up the waterfalls laid ahead. Each and every step brought forward something new. I've mentioned before that every thriving jungle ecosystem comes with an abundance of termites. They come in little packages but serve a huge purpose: to recycle.
With every colony you will spot their enemies close by. Here a huntsman spider has taken off with a worker. She will not be missed. A leaf-like assassin bug stalks and stabs the workers. In the eyes of the termite, every day is an endless battlefield, a turf war. Not so far from them is an empty nest of stingless bees. Nothing left but their drained out carcasses, as a horde of assassin bugs raided their entire nest. I've never witnessed coordinated massacres from them before. No organism is at the top though. These bent-toed geckos traverse across the forest floor, picking off bugs like those assassins every night. Along comes a beautiful Malayan wolf snake, which then eats the geckos. It's called the circle of life, and everything fuels and reaps off after one another. It is a brutal world. You just have to look closer. One of the coolest finds for me as an arthropod lover is right here. These are boreal tree-dwelling millipedes. Nothing too interesting for most people, I'm guessing. But guess what happens when I put a black light on them? They glow. A chemical in the millipede's exoskeleton absorbs the light and then re-emits it in a slightly different wavelength or color. The million-dollar question, though, is still unanswered as to why some millipedes glow under ultraviolet. Most millipedes contain cyanide within their bodies, some much more than others. The ones in this video seem to be quite the carrier. Millipedes are detrivores, feeding on the dead and decaying matter. Some have a more specific diet, like most dragon or pill millipedes, which feed on only native fungi. As cool as they were, we still needed to find our target viper. Trekking hours up the waterfall, my buddy Jesse somehow spotted a large green snake huddled behind the leaves of a tree over 50 feet up. And as soon as he did, the master lizard king climbed swiftly up the tree to go get it down. I was to grab the snake once he nudged it onto a branch that he could lower. It turned out to be a snake we didn't expect to find here at all. The Pope's pit viper. No stranger to us because we've herped a few individuals before. But not in Kanchanaburi. This wasn't our target species, but it sure as hell made for the trip out here. During the day, these elusive animals rest up high in the canopy of mountainous forests. At night, they're out foraging on lower vegetation, feeding on mice, frogs, lizards, birds, and bats, as they sit in ambush. These pit vipers are different than most here venom-wise, and it's because they're primarily neurotoxic, whereas most pit vipers here possess mainly hemotoxic venom. It's designed to rot and break down blood cells and tissue, but the Pope's pit vipers evolved venom that attacks and dismantles the nervous system. While Jesse and Palm were taking pictures of the Pope's pit viper, me and my girlfriend decided to have a walk around the area, and that's when she spotted the most gigantic arboreal viper any of us had ever freaking seen. And it was another Pope's. The first individual we thought was big already, at 30 inches. This larger female was easily almost 50, with a much calmer demeanor too. She wasn't easily spooked like the smaller one was. This allowed me to successfully hold her and work with her without proper tools, like an idiot. But also to add, just because this viper is dangerous and venomous does not mean that they are out to get you. In actuality, this species hates modern society so much that they never want to come down from their isolated mountains. Look at her huge head, packed with an array of useful tools, aiding her survival. Those heat-sensing pits right at the front are being used as we speak. She definitely sees me as some warm giant, but she has made her decision. that I am not a scary monster. Thank you. I have always sought her validation. This second female is a true behemoth, a gentle giant. I put her on the branch to compare her size with the previous one and may have accidentally spooked him for a sec, but all is fine. What a crazy and weird night. She is absolutely breathtaking, and we estimated her age to be about 15 years old. This is a gentle giant, and we released her on a lower branch, whereas the smaller female we set back up in the canopy, and off they went. So, though we didn't manage to find our target species that night, the monstrous popes was more than worth it. So until next time, guys, I'll see you and the Kanburian pit viper later in my enclosure, cause it's been 4 trips and I still can't herp one. Mother